Good morning. Senior officials from Korea, China, and Japan meet and agree to work towards a trilateral foreign ministers meeting later this month in Seoul. Iraqi military forces launch a strike through the city of Tikrit, air and ground attacks from two fronts in efforts to push back Islamic State militants. This week, discover Seocheon in Chungcheongnam-do Province. Joey Mercanante takes you through the area and its culinary delights. A showroom designed to open doors for budding designers to the world. On Korea Today, Thursday, March 12, 2015.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. I'm Eujin Ju with Kim Young and Kim Min-jung. A photo exhibition has just opened yesterday in Manhattan, New York on Korea's Haenyeo, or female divers in Jeju. And 25 life-size photos of these Haenyeo will be on display by photographer Kim Hyung-sun.
That's right, and these women are truly amazing. They harvest seafood using no diving equipment or breathing apparatus. And it really is an important and beautiful cultural heritage that Korea has. And the Korean government has been pushing to register the culture of Haenyeo at the UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So good luck with that. And those of you who haven't had a chance to check out the life of Haenyeos, for those of you in New York, this is a great chance.
That's right. There's part of the tradition in Jeju that they actually have Haenyeo schools for up-and-coming Haenyeos. And also, in addition to the works by Kim, the exhibition is also going to display documentary photographs and video and pictures of their material and also the equipment that they actually use, which is very minuscule, actually. They just need basically a wetsuit and a mask. All right, now we're going to jump to our top story for this morning. In efforts to revive cooperation amid historical and territorial disputes, on Wednesday, senior officials from Korea, China, and Japan met in Seoul, their second meeting in 6 months. Deputy Foreign Minister for Political Affairs Lee Kyung-soo met with his counterparts Liu Zemin and Shinsuke Sugiyama, where the three agreed to strengthen the stagnant three-way cooperation and prepare for the first trilateral foreign ministers meeting since 2012, slated for later this month in Seoul.
We have come to agree to host the foreign ministers meeting this month and convened here under the clear purpose of preparing for the meeting.
And this progress has not come easily and should be cherished.
In a better position to prepare for the upcoming foreign ministerial trilateral to be held sometime latter half of this month, and hopefully to be followed up further by the highest level of us three.
Korea and China's bilateral relations with Japan have been at an all-time low, mainly due to Japan's refusal to acknowledge its wartime atrocities and territorial disputes involving the islands in the East China Sea. Seoul's foreign ministry said the meeting of the top diplomats will focus on trilateral cooperation.
Seoul's Unification Minister nominee says relations between the two Koreas would likely see a few chances of a breakthrough once Seoul's joint military drills with Washington ends in late April. In a confirmation hearing on Wednesday, Unification Minister nominee Hong Yong-pyo said he will look into various ways to improve ties with Pyongyang, including sending a special envoy to the communist state. He also touched upon the controversial dissemination of anti-North Korea propaganda leaflets by South Korean civic groups, saying though the government has no legal grounds to interfere with one's freedom of speech, Seoul is persuading the activists to make a wise decision. On the issue of President Park Geun-hye's attending the 70th anniversary of end-of-war celebrations in Moscow in May, where the North Korean leader is expected to attend, the minister nominee said the government will look into whether the leaders of the two Koreas can engage in constructive dialogue on the sidelines.
An analysis of recent statistics show the gender wage gap to be increasing, with non-regular female employees earning some 36% of monthly pay that male full-time employees make. According to analysis of data from the Statistics Korea by Kim Yu-sun, senior fellow at the Korea Labor and Society Institute, if a male full-time worker's monthly wage is ranked at 100, a female non-regular worker would rank at 35.9 percentage points. Despite efforts to shed light on the issue, female non-regular workers' monthly wages have decreased by 1.4 percentage points in the last 10 years, with their hourly wages dropping by 1.1 percentage points in the same period. Kim stressed that in order to resolve the issue, strengthening labor management and full-time employment practices and increasing the minimum wage must be considered.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, according to diplomatic sources yesterday, veteran political and economic leaders from Korea and Japan will form a consultative group to try and thaw the frozen relations between the two countries. We'll get a look at this headline on Chungcheongnam-do, the top story. And it says Lee Hong-gu and Yoshiro Mori set out to thaw Korea-Japan relations. And taking a look at this bold sub-headline now, a delegation of some 10 Korean experts led by Lee Hong-gu, a former prime minister, is scheduled to head to Tokyo on March 22nd for a two-day trip to hold discussions with their Japanese counterparts. A diplomatic source told the Daily that the two sides are responding to the concern that if they continue to remain negligent towards each other, bilateral relations may fall into a state of incapacity while the two nations mark the 50th anniversary of the normalization of ties this year. The Japanese delegation is to be headed by former Prime Minister Yoshiro Mori, and the two sides plan to openly exchange opinions on how various matters, such as the sexual enslavement issue, can be resolved to seek a middle ground and hopefully ease ongoing diplomatic tensions. Now, following discussions in Tokyo, the group plans to hold a follow-up meeting here in Seoul in May, after which they will announce a joint statement. And going to a side article now on 동아일보. And this one is about an economic cooperation between China and North Korea. The header says, wave of economic cooperation in China's Huncheon, 5,000 North Korean workers please. Now, Huncheon is a county-level city located in far eastern Jilin province of northeast China that borders North Korea and Russia. And according to sources, there's apparently some 5,000 North Korean laborers that the city needs, especially as more and more companies there are bringing in North Korean manpower for their businesses. If we take a look at the sub-headlines, in fact, many Chinese local governments that are close in proximity to North Korea have been expanding their scales of economic cooperation with the North, especially more so since Chinese President Xi Jinping called for the reinforcement of economic exchanges with nearby countries at the 12th National People's Congress that opened just this Monday. And we'll move on to 조선일보 for another side article, and this one is regarding Kim Moo-sung's words. It's titled, Must Lower Interest Rate to Match Global Trend. So the ruling Saenuri Party's chairman Kim Moo-sung yesterday said, Korea cannot go backwards when the rest of the world's key markets are pushing forward with quantitative easing policies, as he stressed that Korea also needs an economic policy that meets the flow of the real economy. In line with this, he asked the Bank of Korea for a cut in the key interest rate as well. And finally, we'll go to the Mail Business newspaper for this top headline. And this is called Korea soon to become newest AIIB signatory. Now, the AIIB stands for the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is an international financial institution proposed by China, somewhat established to stand against the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. Well, it looks like the pace is picking up in negotiations between Korea and China, and also Korea and the U.S. regarding Korea's joining of the AIIB. If we take a closer look here, although the Korean government had maintained a cautious stance because of opposition by the U.S., it has received approval by the U.S. on a conditional agreement and is now believed to be conducting last-minute negotiations with China as well. Now, that was a look at our local headlines this Thursday, and following are the stock numbers from Wednesday.
And time now to get a check on the weather. This morning does not feel like spring, although by the afternoon things might warm up a little bit.
Right, we're expecting some mild temperatures starting today afternoon, but one thing to watch out for is the big temperature differences. Let's check things out with our Chun Sung-cho, who's standing by outdoors. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning, guys. Yes, the weather has been nothing like spring for the past couple of days as Chui, or spring cold snap alongside strong frigid winds, chilled the entire nation. This morning, mercury levels are hovering below freezing in most regions, such as here in Seoul at negative 3.5 degrees Celsius. However, the good news is that we're finally going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Starting this afternoon, temperatures are expected to gradually rise up and we'll be able to enjoy some beautiful weather conditions with warm afternoons and plenty of sunshine. Yes, we do have some precipitation in store for us today around the greater Seoul area and western Gangwon-do Province, but it will be a very brief one very late at night. It's more likely to be in the form of rain of less than 5 millimeters towards Seoul, considering the warming up in the forecast, and toward Gangwon-do Province, there is a possibility of turning into sleet or snow. Now, we all know the air conditions across the country have been very dry for quite some time now. And unfortunately, this precipitation is going to be nowhere near able to quench our thirst. Dry weather advisories still remain in place for the majority of the country, and especially in Gangwon-do Province, where these advisories have been issued for 2 weeks in a row. Extra precautions are needed to avoid starting any accidental fires. And with that, let's take a closer look at today's weather around the nation. Look at the afternoon highs, all several degrees higher than yesterday. They range from 7 degrees Celsius in Seoul and Gangneung to 13 in Daegu and Gwangju. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to you, Jinju, in the studio.
Let's now take a look through the global headlines we're following this hour with Eunice Kim standing by at the news center. Good morning, Eunice.
Hello.
So you told us yesterday that Iraqi forces had begun their assault into Tikrit, and we understand they're making crucial gains in retaking key areas from the Islamic State militants there.
Good ground, that's right, and reportedly very close to taking back Tikrit as a whole, Jinju, amid reports that many IS fighters had already fled the city in advance dressed as civilians. Iraqi military forces and militia launched a fierce strike through Saddam Hussein's hometown on Wednesday. Reports say the joint Iraqi forces and Shia militia entered Tikrit through two fronts from the north and the south. Forces on the ground laying down heavy machine gunfire were backed by helicopters in the air. A local official said troops raised an Iraqi flag over Tikrit's General Hospital, and in an apparent retaliatory move, the city of Ramadi, capital of the Anbar province to the south, reported 13 suicide car bomb attacks near army and security positions. Pro-IS Twitter account said one of those suicide bombers was an Australian teen. Now, on Wednesday, IS had released a new video purportedly showing the murder of an Israeli Arab captive it claimed was a spy. Reports say both the adult and boy militants shown there were French nationals, and that the man could be the half-brother of French jihadist gunman Mohamed Merah, who had shot dead 7 people in a 2012 strike in southern France. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls said on Sunday nearly 90 French citizens are known to have died fighting with IS in Syria and Iraq. And on to other news now. The Chechen suspect who had apparently confessed to being involved in the murder of Russian opposition politician Boris Nemtsov made the confession under duress. That's according to a member of Russia's Human Rights Council who had visited Zaur Dadayev in prison. Andrei Babushkin said he spotted wounds on the man's body that showed Dadayev had been tortured with electricity. He urged someone outside of the ongoing investigations to look further into it. Dadayev is one of 2 men who have been charged in connection to the shooting death of Nemtsov on February 27th.
And on to some tech-related news now. Some people were unable to download media from iTunes or Apple's App Store recently, and this is not an isolated incident, I hear.
No, it's not, Junju. This appears to be a pretty widespread and continuous outage affecting users outside of the U.S. as well, in Switzerland, Spain, and we are getting reports of people being affected here in Seoul as well. Now, Apple did confirm the intermittent outages of both iTunes and its App Store. It said they were unavailable for all users as of 10:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is just before midnight here in Korea, although you could have experienced that outage even before that time. Apple's system status page also said that there were problems with iCloud sign-ins and iCloud Mail in the hours before that, citing the error to an internal DNS error. The unusually extensive outage left users locked out for more than 8 hours in some cases, costing the company an estimated millions of dollars in lost sales.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you, Eunice.
Sure thing.
Now, still to come on Korea Today, follow the spring winds along the west coast to Seocheon in Chungcheongnam-do Province. We'll show you what's in season there, what to eat, what to see, and what to do. All coming up on Korea Discovered. You don't want to miss it.
The Korea National Opera finally kicked off its season, and for its first piece, it's chosen a globally renowned opera to start off. And joining us is Yimini to tell us more about that. Good morning.
Good morning. Right, so they have decided to start the 2015 with the Italian opera Andrea Chenier. Now, they've also enlisted the help of some globally renowned directors, and I got a sneak peek of this performance. Take a look in this next report.
An unexpected love, situated in the heart of the tragic French Revolution. The opera Andrea Chenier is composed by Umberto Giordano and based loosely on the story of the 18th century French poet André Chenier, who was executed during the Revolution. Andrea has lost his passion for the arts, that is until he falls in love with Maddalena, daughter of a countess. The revolution turns the tables for everyone, and Andrea and Maddalena face uncertainty, but they do so hand in hand, their love inspiring all those around them.
Chenier is an interesting character because he's not only a poet but also a soldier and a lover, and he has to separate those feelings. So I had to pay close attention to details while playing the role. Also because we are performing on a symbolic stage with very little stage settings, the audience's attention is honed in on us and our performance.
But can an Italian opera about a French poet, performed by a Korean cast, be as powerful as it was originally intended? With such an open stage setting, all of the attention is drawn to the characters and their actions. Each emotion, each feeling of rage, portrayed through the crumpling of paper, the taste of dissatisfaction littering the floor. The opera is led by director Stefano Poda, a renowned opera mastermind from Italy. To overcome all language and cultural barriers, he's utilized the universal language of the body to express strong emotions, using each and every detail to deliver as much impact as possible.
Through Andrea Chenier, I want to show a meaningful and historically accurate performance using a very minimal approach. France's history is being relived through this stage, but I don't care about realistically portraying it. I want to use symbolism and show a historical issue that the modern audience can relate to. This role has to always move forward and continually progress, and that progress later becomes history.
The French Revolution may have ended over 200 years ago, and Chenier's life now just a speck of dust in time. But all of the lives lost became history gained, making it possible for a better tomorrow.
So a very meaningful and historically accurate portrayal with a minimal approach, but at the same time bringing symbolism that shows sort of the link or tries to link the modern touch.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about this director.
So Stefano Poda, he has produced over 100 different operas around the world and really has developed quite the reputation for very visually stunning performances. Now with this particular one, he took full control of the reins, paying attention to all the details from costume to lighting. But what you have to know about Poda's performances is that he really emphasizes symbolism. And so he wants you to have an emotional experience rather than going and analyzing all the lyrics and trying to understand the performance. And so if you leave with more questions than when you came in, I think that's what he's going for. He wants you to think critically about it and to really use your creativity.
Okay, and you did mention that there's a darker approach. There's sort of a macabre appeal to the set along with the dresses.
Right, he has a very distinct style.
Okay, so this is the season opener for the Korea National Opera. What else does the company have in store?
Right, so a very reputable opera company here in Korea, lots on their list. So later this year, they actually are going to be performing a original Korean opera, Jungong, written by Park Young-gun. So they have quite a few other operas set in store. So if you are a fan of La Traviata, which many people are here in Korea, you'll have to wait till the end of this year's season because they are going to be performing that later.
All right, well, for opera fans, the season is open. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to look at a certain exhibition that shows designers and tries to link and bridge designers to the world. So we're going to look at that. The largest high-end business showroom in Korea takes the future of K-fashion into its own hands. On K-Style, we visit Ledome, where budding designers dare to dream big, showing complete collections and getting connected to overseas buyers.
She plays the violin while she dances to classical and pop music and even to hip hop. Lindsey Stirling, a YouTube star with over 6 million subscribers, is considered a one-of-a-kind musician who's blended a variety of genres beautifully into her performances. She is now in Korea. She recently wrapped up her concert and she joins us right here in the studio this morning. It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No, not one single word can describe what you do or who you are. You're a violinist, you're a dancer and a composer too. How did you come up with this idea of combining all these different genres into one beautiful, dynamic form of art?
You know, I had my passion for the violin had kind of dwindled, and I was trying to get excited about my music again. And so I thought, well, I should do my favorite things. I love to dance, I love to make videos, I love to write music. I shouldn't just play the music that's been played for hundreds and hundreds of years. I should make the violin, new and fresh for me. And so this is just kind of what happened.
And you've accomplished so much. You won the 2015 YouTube Music Awards alongside Beyonce and Lady Gaga. That was just recently. And you've been named 30 under 30 in music by Forbes magazine. And so how does it feel to have earned all these recognition and be standing shoulder to shoulder with some of the biggest mainstream artists in the industry?
It's pretty amazing. It's something I never would have expected. Even 2 years ago, I would have never expected these things. And it's really exciting because I think it shows that the world is changing, and it's with social media now and YouTube and Facebook, it's making it possible for individual people to take their art into their own hands, and we're given the tools to make our careers happen and to share it. And I think that it's a new way for artists to be found, and it's really exciting to be part of it.
But it wasn't all an easy ride for you. Your parents, when you started playing the violin, could not afford all the full violin lessons, and you had to overcome some difficulties along the way. Tell us about your journey that brought you here.
Well, I think one thing I share, a lot of times I get asked, what's your best advice for musicians or artists? And my best advice is honestly that any road to success is met with lots of little failures along the way. And anyone who's successful just learns to pick themselves up from those failures and not get discouraged and not giving up. And really perseverance is what makes someone successful. And So anyone chasing their dreams, just push through the failures, push through the disappointments, because success is just waiting for you on the other side.
And you seem to be delivering messages with your songs. Your hit song, Shatter Me, talks about your struggles with anorexia. And you've said in a recent interview that sex doesn't always sell. So you seem to be an artist that with a message. Why is that important to you, that you deliver a message to your audience?
Well, I think it's one thing to have music that's appealing and fun to listen to, but you know, it's another thing when music can change you as a person, and music is very moving, and so, you know, you can take people in all kinds of different directions, and I thought I might as well use my voice to do something that I thought was important, and a message that when I was a young teenage girl, these are the messages that I needed to hear, and that I wish, you know, I had had more of around me. And so those are the kind of things I love to share. I love to, and it means a lot when you feel like someone says that my music has inspired them in some way or another, and you know, it makes it just so much more meaningful.
Who inspires you?
You know, there's a lot of musical inspirations that I've been influenced by, everyone from, you know, Evanescence to David Garrett. But in my personal life, honestly, it's the people that are close to me that inspire me. It's my family, my parents, and just the lessons that they've taught me through my life of how to live in a healthy way. Those are the people that really inspire me.
Now, you're famous for doing covers as well. Do you want to venture into other forms and maybe compose more? What are your future plans from this point onwards?
Ooh, I have so many things I want to do. I'm working on a book right now with my sister, and I want to compose a film someday.
Oh, wow.
I would love to, I'd love to be the voice of an animated character. You know, these are all my random bucket lists. I have so many things I want to try in life.
A book and a film and a movie character, a voice over. Wow, lots of plans for you. Thank you so much for coming out here. And if you could get a taste of your performance right here live.
Awesome.
It's so wonderful.
Awesome, for sure. Well, I brought Excalibur. This is my violin. So,
all right, here we go.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that. That was great. All right, now what would you do if you went to exchange currency at a bank and accidentally got 10 times more of the money that you were supposed to get? Jinju, what would you do?
I'll turn it back.
Is the voices in your head lighting up, right? Well, that's exactly what happened at a bank in Seoul.
Right, the bank called this customer up and told him about their mistake, but the customer claims that he wasn't even aware of the happening and had already lost the money. Our Sirang joins us to tell us more about this story. Good morning, Sirang.
Good morning, guys. So the case is still ongoing at this point, and there's not much evidence either way. So it's really one of those battle of my word against yours. So if we go back to last week, a man goes into a bank in Seoul and exchanges 5 million won into 6,000 Singapore dollars. This is roughly 4,500 US dollars worth. According to the bank, the teller makes a mistake and gives him not 6,000, but 60,000.
That's a great deal.
It is. She apparently got the $100 and $1,000 notes mixed up. So 4 hours later, she realizes the mistake and calls the man up. But the man, as you mentioned, Jinju, says he lost the money, he didn't even know about the mistake, and he already filed a police report about it. The bank doesn't believe him, reports him for embezzlement. The man is infuriated, saying, "I lost it, what are you charging me for?" But the police are analyzing surveillance footage records. So let's see what people had to say. Some were baffled. How can a teller make such a basic mistake? But others were suspicious about the man, saying, even if the man filed a report for losing the money, it doesn't mean anything because he could have done it to perfect his story. But at the end of the day, people were united in feeling really bad for the teller. I feel sorry for the teller. She'll have a hard time falling asleep tonight.
Right. probably was at work like overnight to figure that out.
Right, and stressing about it because I don't know how it works nowadays, but some of the replies said that she might have to take some of the money out of it to fill it up.
Oh, wow.
So poor teller. And an elementary school in Gyeonggi-do Province opened a sister Moonhae school yesterday and welcomed its first batch of students. Now, these Moonhae schools, they're designed specifically for adults who, for a variety of reasons, missed out on regular schooling when they were young. At the Moonhae school, they learn to read and write as well as basic arithmetic, so that upon graduation, they get a state-certified document saying that they received education equivalent to elementary and middle school. At the Kasu Moonhae school that opened yesterday, these 8 grandmas, aged between 67 and 84, were both nervous and excited at the same time to be a student once again.
Well, many of these schools have opened up, and it's good to see a lot of people taking advantage of that.
Right, so when the Education Ministry launched this system or this program back in 2006, since then, 200,000 adults have gone through the program, and this year a further 40,000 are expected to join as well.
Wow.
And wrapping up, Kingsman, have you guys seen it?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Oh, you haven't seen it? It's one of the most popular movies here.
I haven't seen it
And especially
yet.
the female members of or women, they tend to like this movie because
really?
a lot of the guys, they're wearing
men.
really good spiffy suits.
Right, that's right. As you mentioned, Kingsman is still #1 at the Korean box office. It actually surpassed the 4.3 million viewer mark yesterday within a month of its release. Now, Korea is the Kingsman's top grossing country outside of North America. So director Matthew Vaughn and actor Taron Egerton sent this video of thanks. Let's have a look.
Hello to the wonderful people of Korea. My name is Taron Egerton and this is my friend Matthew Vaughn.
And boss.
And boss. I would prefer collaborator, but we'll go with boss. We wanted to send you a little message to thank you for your incredible support of our film Kingsman: The Secret Service. We know it's been a great success, and that success has contributed massively to the global success of the film. We're very sorry we can't be with you there in person, but we are here.
And I'd also love to thank the Koreans for making such great cinema that influenced me to make good cinema back. So without Korea, Kingsman would never have happened.
And Ms.Arirang, I also heard that Mark Miller, who wrote the original comic that Kingsman is based on, also tweeted on his Twitter.
Yeah, he said that he was very happy about it, the film doing so well in Korea as well, and that he'll visit the country when he tours Asia in the near future.
Well, you know, I just want to know who tailored those suits because they do look darn good.
That's right. I watch it. All right, thank you, Ms.Arirang.
You're welcome.
And a good Thursday morning to you all as we kick things off with the Korean national football team as manager Uli Stilike held the year's first technical seminar on Wednesday to break down the 2015 Asian Cup in Australia. Now, using just 6 sentences, he broke down each match that the national team played in, including the final match against Australia, where he stated that the team that made more mistakes on the pitch lost the match, and that was Korea. He added that they should be happy with their second-place finish in Australia, but try to improve their weaknesses through that experience. Meanwhile, he also explained why he chose the previously unknown Lee Jung-hyuk, stating that his movement in penetrating the defense was his reason. Now, one of the reasons why two-time Olympic speed skating gold medalist Lee Sang-hwa shut down her season early is because of fatigue. But apparently she's not the only one. It's the entire Korean speed skating team. Now, with the ISU World Cup final set to start on the 21st of this month, the Korea Skating Union stated that none of the Korean speed skaters will participate in that event due to fatigue. Now, it's the first time that the entire team has decided not to participate in the final despite earning their tickets. Meanwhile, Lee Seung-hoon will still win the overall men's mass start gold despite his lack of participation. Now, while the Korean speed skaters can rest a bit, the Korean ice hockey team will need to speed up their preparations for the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games as the tournament format was confirmed. And with the latest format confirmation, top 8 ranked nations will get tickets to the group stages, while Korea will receive the 9th ticket for being the host nation. But it won't come easy for Korea as they're set to face off against the 1st, 6th, and 7th ranked nations in group stages in 2018. Meanwhile, the other 3 tickets will be fought via 3 stages of qualification games starting in November. And now finishing things off with the 2014-2015 KBL playoffs, where the Incheon ET-Land Elephants took on the Seoul SK Knights in Game 2 of the best-of-5 series on Wednesday, hoping to get a nice 2-0 series lead. But what do you know, SK Knights, even without Aaron Haynes due to an ankle injury, take an early 25-20 lead after the first quarter, but Incheon rallies in the second quarter to take a 43-37 lead going into halftime. But a big third quarter for SK, outscoring ET-Land 21-10 to take the lead back. But check this out, fourth quarter of the game, SK up by just 1, 8 seconds left on the clock. Ricardo Powell with a Kim Yeon-ah spin, that's the eventual game winner, as Incheon takes a 2-0 series lead with a 76-75 victory. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
그 허름한 편안함 널 만나러 가는 길은 설렘
All right, today we'll take you to a place in Korea known for its web-foot octopus, aka jukumi. It always sounds better when you say it in Korean.
Yeah, web foot, I don't know. I'm not too into any kind of foot there. But anyhow, the seasonal foods that they do have, we tried todok yesterday, and web foot is now in season. So Joey Mercadante is going to take us to a place that has all of it and more. Good morning, Joey.
Good morning, Joey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I traveled all the way to Seocheon in Chungcheongnam-do just to get a taste of these jukumi. And there's actually a saying in Seocheon that you know spring is here when the fishermen begin to catch jukumi. So I went there to check it out, and I've got that and so much more for you up next. Towards the southwest corner of Chungcheongnam-do Province is the coastal county of Seocheon. To the west, it faces the ocean, and to the east flows Kumgang River. Its pristine landscape is a sight for sore eyes and adored by spring visitors. For that sure sign of spring, I headed out to the west coast to Seocheon's picturesque Hongwon Port.
The smell of spring is in the air, and there's also the smell of the sea. That this place has got some great tourist attractions for me to check out. It's going to be a great day. What's in store?
This is a popular fisherman's wharf, and the port is known for its delicious, fresh seafood served raw, but at very low prices. And around this time of the year, their bestseller was, of course, jukumi, or web-foot octopus.
I've never seen a flapping ray before.
The taste is superb around this time when the mental cavity is filled with eggs, so I'm going to make shabu-shabu.
Webfoot octopus are more delicious around springtime because it's spawning season, and the spring tides also just happen to bring them in abundance, about 6 to 8 tons worth.
So they hide in these shells when they lay down
뭐가
traps.
달라요?
문어는 약간 좀 질긴 맛이 있고요. 이건 연하고 부드러워요.
These guys are really strong and really sticky. I wonder what they taste like.
They're quite
Taking a bite right there, Joey.
All right, time to see what all the hype is about. I headed over to a restaurant overlooking the port. It was filled with customers filling their stomachs, and many orders seemed to be jukumi.
Look at that. It's moving.
It has a great chewy texture, I think, and when they're filled with eggs, you get the additional flavor as you bite into it. It's very savory.
Now, spring jukumi is delicious however it's cooked, but the foodie in me chose it raw, as you can see.
I'm so excited, I don't know which one to try first.
Raw to start, then onto webfoot octopus shabu shabu. The dish keeps the flavor alive because you just blanch the ingredients: anchovies, sea kelp, spring namul vegetables, and of course jukumi.
The jukumi are more tender, there's more flavor, and yet it still maintains that chewiness of the octopus. So delicious, you gotta try it for yourself.
My travels continue to a village in Seocheon famous for the special regional product Hansan Moshi, which is rami fabric. Now, because rami is a very sheer, breathable textile, it's ideal for muggy hot summers. And Hansan Moshi was sought after because the rami strands are especially fine, so that when woven together, it makes very light fabric that absorbs perspiration very quickly. Hansan Rami has a 1,500-year-old history and was considered fit for royalty. Preparing rami for the upcoming summer was the village artisan and the country's important intangible cultural asset master, Pang Yeon-ok.
What are you doing with your mouth? You keep putting it in your mouth.
To make quality fabric, you have to split it into thin strands like this before weaving it. This is how it's prepared.
Before the weaving begins, fibers are pulled from the rami plant and carefully made into rami string.
It's known as the rami plant.
Rami, yes.
It's not an easy technique. It's like, because you're using your teeth. Can you see those?
After the very difficult task of threading with your lips, the strands are rolled and spliced together. This is a crucial step because the string has to be of even thickness for quality rami. Then rami strings are coated with a sticky paste made from beans to make it smooth and resilient. I never knew what an intensive process this was.
You can say that again.
And when the rami strings dry, it's woven into mochi.
I understand now how difficult the process is, but the fabric is just so unique and so light that I'm looking forward to wearing something like this summer.
Did you get to keep the rami shirt?
I didn't.
You have to buy one.
I have to buy one, yeah. What to eat, what to do, and now what to see at Seocheon. Another pride and joy here, the camellia forest with over 80 trees that are more than 500 years old.
There are so many here. There are camellia trees everywhere. There's this beautiful combination of the green grass and the green leaves, and then you've got the red and yellow color. It just pops, and it's gorgeous.
I climbed the stairs to the top where Dongbaekjeong, a multi-level pavilion, stood overlooking the expansive ocean at Seocheon's peak. The sunsets here are amazing, and it was the perfect end to my travels.
Spring truly is here. And there's still so many Korean cultural experiences to be had, delicious eateries to visit, beautiful sceneries to see, and Seocheon is the perfect start. So why don't you come down and see for yourself? You won't regret it.
Wow, Joey.
Beautiful.
You got the full spring experience at Seocheon there. What is the best time to go? Every visitors can basically get that full experience around now, right?
Yes, right. Later this month, there's going to be a festival, the Camellia and the Webfoot Octopus Festival, and everyone can enjoy that. And that's going to be going on around the Camellia Forest area. And they've got great activities for you to participate in. Of course, they've got fresh jukumi for you to enjoy as well. Also, you can catch your own jukumi, not with your hands, but actually fish them out. And as you can imagine, it's a very popular festival in the springtime.
Right.
Okay, it goes on for 2 weeks.
That's correct.
From the 21st until April 3rd, so check that out.
Once you fill yourself with jukumi, I heard that you can also get a fresh, healthy dose of nature as well. Seocheon is well known for preserving its natural ecology very well.
Yes, that's very true. Seocheon is just great for eco attractions, sites in and around the Kumgang River, which is one of the 4 major rivers that run through the county. You've got all sorts of great things to see. The National Institute of Ecology. You can check out Shinseongri reed fields and so much more. There are city tours that you can take. You can take them 4 times a week. My recommendation is check the website first because the tours do differ slightly depending on the day.
And it's quite a travel from Seoul, but there are different ways to get to Seocheon.
That's correct.
Tell us about some of the methods of transportation.
There are a few ways. If you would like to take a bus from Seoul, just head to Nambu Bus Terminal. If you want to take the regular train, there are trains that run out of Yongsan Station. But I would say the best way is something that I featured on an earlier report, the West Gold train. Do you remember that luxury train that I took? Okay, so that's a train that Korail started running several just a while back, and this West Gold train goes along the west coast and makes a stop in Seocheon. The specialties, of course, are the foot spas, the traditional ondol heated floors, and if you do decide to take this train, it actually gives you the opportunity to have further discounts on the city bus tour once you're in Seocheon, so extra incentive to take the train. I mean, if the footpath and the ondol are not enough. You know.
That is enough, I think.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Joey.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been said over and over again, but Dongdaemun is back in the spotlight again for its fashion mecca status, thanks to the overwhelming response abroad for K-fashion. The focus this time is on Ledome, a business showroom that's all about discovering talented up-and-comers and providing them with exposure overseas. Ledome is Korea's first fashion venture, supported and run by the state. As the largest business showroom in Korea, it also seeks out large fashion designing talent and promotes them with a no-nonsense marketing strategy, direct connections with international buyers. Ledome opened in September 2014. Since then, Ledome designers already participated in Who's Next, the main trade show in Paris, and various other shows, and opened pop-up stores in countries like Singapore and China.
Ledome is a K-fashion showroom that supports production and marketing of Korea's finest designers. We hope that this space will play an instrumental role in introducing the work of up-and-coming designers to overseas buyers.
Ledome designers have also won their fair share of accolades in the several months it has been opened. Awards from overseas fashion schools, Seoul Fashion Week, and Paris Collection. The creativity of its designers are undeniable. The only similarity between the collections was their originality. Each line stood out and had a distinct characteristic that represented the whims of each designer. It was quite refreshing to see this kind of variety in concepts and imagination in design.
My brand is focused towards international sales. The prints are all initially done by hand, and I used the bright colors, dramatic silhouettes to emphasize the Alice in Wonderland theme.
The concept behind this brand stems from being eco-aware. The textiles are dyed in coffee grounds that are past expiration or were roasted incorrectly. We double-checked the process with our very own eyes. The designer boiled hot water, added the coffee grounds, then dipped in the fabric. After a designated period of time, she removed the fabric from the coffee bath, and it was a soft, subtle coffee color.
Because I use natural dye, the color has a soft, organic tone too. I didn't use any chemical dyes or harsh dye products, so you don't have to worry about colors bleeding in the wash. The natural dye also prevents skin irritations.
Our next visit was to the workspace of another designer at Ledome. This designer got her inspiration from a long love for Korea's traditional clothing called hanbok. She reinterpreted the classic hanbok style to one with a modern touch while keeping various traits of the hanbok.
I've always thought our traditional dress hanbok was very beautiful. The elaborate styles and accessories, the hanbok top jeogori, and the shape of the ties, the gorum. The hanbok design is quite unique, so I had fun researching it for my line.
Our cameras were there at the perfect time, the first Buyers Invitational of 2015. Buyers from all over the world, China, Singapore, New York, gathered to see collections put together by rising Korean fashion designers.
I think Korean designers start to have very, very good products.
We specialize only in Korean clothes because we find that the quality is very good. The design is simple and is very versatile. So that's why we like it so much.
I'm blown away
because a lot of it looks so international. I can imagine some of these things in Tokyo, of course in Singapore, in New York even. Yes, I'm very impressed. Great work, good finishing, interesting fabrics, and I think very new ideas. I'm seeing a lot of new creative ideas, and well, I'm very impressed.
This is the no-nonsense approach we were talking about. If a buyer finds something to their liking, a Ledome business team will put together a contract then and there.
For Korean designers, there really weren't many opportunities to show their collections to overseas buyers. There wasn't really a setting they could do that. Ledome not only provides support for these designers, but also sets a stage for optimal networking and connects designers with buyers and vice versa.
Providing opportunities that would even make seasoned fashion designer green with envy. Ledome has become a place where a new talent has a chance to launch a global label. We can't wait to see what innovative designs will steal the spotlight next.
So we get it. Ledome is the place to be seen if you're an up-and-coming designer here in Korea. And Punita Bajaj joins us to tell us all about it.
Yes,
Good morning.
hello. Good morning. So yes, Ledome, for those of you guys who don't know, is a showroom to design or to show the up-and-coming designers their products and their line. And it's actually pretty hard to get in. It's actually sponsored by the Korean Apparel Industry Association, and it's run by the country. So it's got a kind of very competitive, I guess, look to it. To get into it or just to be eligible, you have to have experience in fashion, of course, here in Korea or in abroad. And you have to have a spring-summer line or a fall-winter line of 40 pieces or more. And then the application process, you have to have a portfolio review followed by an in-depth interview. So it's quite rough and tough to get into the showroom.
Okay, so the pool of designers over there with showrooms is not very big. What, 13, I think I heard the number?
13, yes. Last time it was 13, but recently they added 15. So currently there's a total of 28 designers.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot more variety, a lot of
doubled.
diverse. Right. As you can see, they're just in front of us, there are so many different types of items we have.
I noticed that this is from the coffee dye collection, I would say. The
dress
first one.
I'm holding?
Sure. This is from the designer Yoon Jung-yeon, I think. She actually dip dyes all of her clothing. This is just the sleeve that are dip dyed. She gets recycled coffee beans, so stuff that are not usable, or if they're roasted incorrectly, she grinds them up and she boils them and she dip dyes them, so it's more of a natural look. Everyone wants to have that eco-friendly look as well.
Okay, look at the floral print here.
So this is
It's a Jinju style.
right. Chung Hee-jin designer. She did everything from Alice in Wonderland collections to really traditional Korean art and everything in between. I think she hand drew everything.
Hand drew.
Wow.
Yeah. So she had no help from computer designs, and you can recognize her from the reality TV competition where there's a last designer standing. She was on that show, and she worked under John Galliano and Alexander McQueen, so you can just see from her resume.
Quite a resume there, right? And you've brought some accessories, and these are made, of course, by the designers at Ledome.
Sure. There's a lot of things that we have prepared from top to bottom. We got you covered. We have a lot of accessories, from scarves, sunglasses, purses, and shoes as well. These are really great. It has more of a very funky retro look. I don't know if that one's good for you yet.
It's a little too pinky, I think, in my opinion.
Sure, but the bags, I think, are really interesting because the purses, there's a different maker and a different designer, and I guess the maker wanted some help with making a prettier design, so what they did is get some help from the Ledome designers, and they're going to start rotating who can help design these purses, and they're quite interesting because they kind of look like a water bottle holder.
Yeah. Or maybe if you're a cameraman or something.
Sure, you can put your lenses.
Interesting. So if you go to Ledome, you can find all sorts of accessories and clothes related to fashion. these accessory designers and clothes and really jewelry, everything you need. You can find it if you're an investor, international investor. You can go there and find your designer that you're looking for, right?
And because these aren't just normal designers, I mean, these people have been voted fashionista at the Korea SME Fashion Show. And as I said before, Jang Gol-yeon and Alexander McQueen, they worked as understudies with those designers. So you can see how experienced they are, and they're great designers.
This is quality work. The leather is very nice too, and the stitching is immaculate.
Right. Huh,
Are you gonna put that around your neck?
Well, spring is just around the corner. I might put this on as we wrap up the show. Thank you so much, Benita.
Thank you.
All right, well, this is where we say goodbye on this Thursday.
All right, stay warm out there. It's going to get warmer later on, but it's still cold right now. So we'll see you back here tomorrow morning on Friday morning at 7 a.m.
Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.